Yo, what's up, Doc? Heard you wanted to see me, man. I came down as fast as I could.
I'm so sorry to bring you down like this, but we just need someone to identify the body. Brace yourself. It's pretty awful.
Good God, man. What was the cause of death?
Exposure.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the live music welfare capital of the world, it's the Damn Tonight Show with tonight's guests, Nathan Olivarez and Ruby Dice. Now here's your host, who couldn't care less if you're watching, Colin McDonald.
Hello and welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. Let's jump into some headlines. This morning's issue of the Chronicle announced its new design. One of these things is not like the others. Now that's the incremental change we need. In other Chronicle news, they released a trailer for the new Q&A hole, and I have a question I'd like answered. If you had a long-running countercultural weekly newspaper in 2020 covering real issues affecting the community, how would you leverage YouTube to make a difference? Austin artists bring home hardware after winning at the 2020 Grammys. After winning last year's Austin Music Awards, Best New Band, the Black Pumas just couldn't get past nationals. But Gary, Willie, Delbert, and Patty did win, with Gary pulling in 3 awards. Bob Schneider was not nominated. Austin musicians get discounted gym memberships under this new program. Ooh, that's why show attendance is down. It's not the homelessness issues or parking or violence, it's these fat musicians. Seriously, where is this money coming from? Of all the things to make a priority, this is what we choose? Add another tally to the musicians are soft board. Austin for Australia takes place Sunday, and this has really inspired me. I am now announcing Damn Fest, a benefit show for musicians that play benefits. Down on your luck because you played too many benefits? Apply to be a Damn Fest artist, and the link's down below. Submission fees start at 3 easy payments of $19.99. South by Southwest is selling wristbands to locals. ACL gives $100,000 to a local park, really showing that these big festivals care about the locals. Rolling Stone says Tulsa might be the next Austin. This just in. Hello and welcome to Daily Tulsa Music. My name is Colin McDonald. Country music's biggest stars unite at Austin's 2020 iHeart Country Festival. See, who says Austin doesn't attract the biggest acts? Wait, who are these people? And finally tonight, my favorite ad campaign I think I've ever seen by an Austin musician, Eric Berglund. Self-awareness level 1 million. Check him out just on this alone. And now to our next segment, Money for Music. On Monday, there are 2 key meetings to know about. First, at 2 p.m., the Live Music Fund Working Group will meet and discuss, from what I understand, 2 main points: who is eligible for the funds and who will be responsible for distributing the money. After that, at 6 p.m., the Austin Music Commission will meet. Although the agenda is not yet available, there will definitely be discussion on the Live Music Fund and the Agent of Change, among other things. So, what is this Live Music Fund? Well, it's the first ever public money for live music, according to the talking points. Although I think ACA has been funding live music events for a while. Now, where is this money coming from? Well, that's where things start to get just a little complicated. The money is coming from the hotel occupancy tax, which is a 17% tax added to every hotel booking. In August, City Council approved raising the city's portion of the tax from 7 to 9%. The state collects 6%, and there is an extra 2% venue tax voters approved back in 1998 to, get this, expand the convention center. Sound familiar? That's because this most recent 2% increase council approved was yet again attached to another convention center expansion. So you may think, great, we're getting 2 cents on the dollar towards live music, right? Wow, what a great thing the city is doing. Wrong. We're actually getting 15% of 2 cents per dollar. So for every $1,000 collected by the hotel tax funds, the Live Music Fund gets $1.80 out of $1,000. Now, the city estimates the tax increase will generate $21 million per year, giving $3.15 million to the Live Music Fund in the first year, compared to the $14.7 million going to the convention center. But that means the homeless gets $3.5 million too, right? As far as I can tell, that one is off the table, or at least not being spoke about at all, which is kind of interesting. So the next logical question is, where is this money going to go? Well, at the last Music Commission meeting, a few musicians showed up to offer their ideas, and there were kind of 2 main threads I wanted to address. Number 1, venues are bad. I do understand where this mentality comes from, but it's just not usually put in the right context. There were complaints about the lack of transparency.
But what's troubling to me is that there's no transparency when it comes to getting paid by venues in town. You book a show, and the answer to the question of when and how much you'll get paid is always inconsistent.
I agree with Aubrey about the lack of transparency between venues and bands that they hire.
There were even accusations of pay to play.
It was at Empire Control Room. It was a $385 production cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all your money right there, which I think, personally, this hotel tax could go towards those production costs.
Yeah, our friend Sabi had to pay $75 at Empire, and then they said, "Hey, the sound guy really liked your band. Do you want to play here again?" Like, no, thank you.
Okay, I mean, I get it, but let's reverse that. What have you been doing to promote your shows?
And they're in the business of producing the shows, so why are we paying their production costs?
Aren't you in the business of putting on shows? And of course, as always, complaints about the work musicians have to put in.
For the whole time, like for the whole 3 hours that we were there, setting up, playing the show, rehearsal, buying all of our gear and stuff.
And to me, all of these can easily be solved by, number one, use a contract, as in, do not play without one, period. Number two, stop complaining. This is supposed to be hard. Enjoy it. And the second main thread was that we need some kind of registration process for musicians.
One way that I could see doing it is having a registry of bands and a registry of venues. And the bands get paid by the venues a minimum baseline pay that's like pretty decent. It should be decent. And the venues have to meet a quota of bands on the registry in order to get money from the city.
Obviously, that's got to be tracked. And that's got to have a real clear tracking mechanism so we can keep everybody accountable. And not to speak for you guys, but I think over on this camp from the musicians end, they're starting to develop some measures to really do that, and even maybe develop sort of a venue best practices.
But as Gavin rightly pointed out,
we're talking about verified musicians with HAM. We're talking that's 8,000 folks, and we're looking at $3.4 million. So if each musician received $400 annually, that's all we're talking about. So before everybody goes too far deep, $400, not a month, for the year. That would be if this money even trickles to the musicians.
Which brings us to my main concern here. This working group has a potential to define two very important terms. One of which I think they're going to handle really well, which is, what is a music venue? Rebecca Reynolds has done great work on this and had a definition in the Code Next debacle, so I'm hopeful that her definition gets put into writing in some sort of city document. The other term scares me a little, and that is, what is a working musician? They have the potential to define a working musician in city documents for, as far as I know, the first time ever. So, given Austin's history and our tendency towards inclusion, which is almost always a good thing, I wonder how inclusive this definition will be. I'm sure there'll be a lot of criteria thrown around, like how many gigs a year, live and studio, licensing, etc. But one thing matters, in my opinion. It's the percentage of the household income. How much of your livelihood are you making with music? I think that's really the only metric that matters when you're considering what a working musician is, because before a certain percentage, which is debatable, you're not even in the minor leagues, you're playing in a company softball league. And that's exactly what you should be doing, getting better so that you can graduate up a level, not complaining about, well, anything, really. But as far as the Live Music Fund is concerned, please remember, not only is this going to be a months-long process and the Music Commission can only make recommendations to City Council, you have to also consider that 2% of 15% of 2 pennies.
I don't think that people understand how little money is being made.
We'll be right back with Nathan Olivarez right after this. Hello and welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Nathan Olivarez. Thank you so much for being here.
It's awesome.
Kind of give us your story. How did you get to Austin?
Well, my name is Nathan. I got here as soon as I could, I told my dad I was going to run away from home and be a rock star, and I was raising hell in Corpus Christi. My dad says, "You don't have to run away, boy, and I'll drop you off." And he goes, "Let's go." And I said, "No, Dad, Tuesday." And so Tuesday came around, and boom, he kicked the door in, and I said, "Let's go, boy." And so I packed a duffel bag. I think I had my 12 string. He dropped me off here on the drag. So playing on the streets, meeting lonely women on the weekend at the original Antones, so I could shower and have a place to be clean. And then on the week, started talking to clubs and playing for free for food and tips, and just have been there for that long. Let me see, Armadillo, Raoul's, Liberty Lunch, all the things that everybody loves and misses nowadays were in full swing.
Wow. So you've really kind of seen everything. Like, tell me kind of how has Austin changed over that time?
Well, I think the thing that's different, there's been a lot of people with money here. And one thing you can either fight or you can embrace is people with money usually make the rules.
Right.
So then what you end up doing is you end up using their rules to benefit you. And that's one thing that people don't have a grasp on because they're still missing what is or what was. I have no better opportunities than I do right now.
Right.
The reason I keep bringing this stuff up is because it's like this thing where the city wants to give everybody money,
Yeah.
And hey, man, if I'm on top of my game and I do if I do me right, and I'm the perfect business model of what I can be,
right,
I may get my hand on some of that, And so for me, that's exciting for people who are saying there's going to be more rats in the street, looking for crumbs, and I understand that. But then before there are crumbs, right, there is the big chunk of cheese.
And I totally get that. And it takes me back to the metaphor I've said, I think, for a long time, is between the musicians and the venues and just the creative culture, it seems like we're all trying to fight over... We're all fighting over the crumbs, but nobody's asking who's eating the bread.
Right. The people making the rent.
Yeah.
And those are the people with the money.
Yeah.
But then in the big picture right now, you have got to be really, really good if you think that you're going to make a living at this.
And that's the way it should be.
Too many people are weekend warriors, and they think that they're the best thing since popcorn. And maybe they do play like Van Halen. Maybe they do have chops. Man, but you're not working it. Right. You're not out there every day bleeding, stressing, wondering how to make the scene yours. Right. And then everybody says the scene. That word is a bad word, the scene. Well, then let's just change that into our music community.
Same thing.
How do we make our music community better? Right. And the better we are as a community, the better the whole community is.
That's right.
And so then that's what I'm really, really, I love the dreamers, and I am one of them, and I love the realists such as yourself who are giving the stone cold facts without the dream in it, right? And I appreciate it
without the wish.
Right, without the wish.
I can still dream because that's on me.
Because it's not wishing, you're actually doing.
Exactly.
So then that's what we need to turn this into now, is not wishing but doing. And then without the expectation of being a star already.
And that's right. And that goes back to a community doing for each other without expectation of something in return. And that kind of support is hard to come by. But
so then it's all about like digging the people that you get a chance to play with. And that's and supporting your friends. And speaking of supporting friends, I do have 2 bands.
Yeah, you do.
And the love of my life, my 12-string progressive band called Stupid Drama.
Right.
And then there is she's like my dirty girlfriend, Dancyr,
right.
which was started in 1987 with Jody Champion. Even if you don't go see me, guys, if you would, once a month, go check out your friend's band.
Right.
Or better yet, walk into a club that you wouldn't normally go into.
That's right.
The only way that we're going to survive is by supporting each other.
Amen.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And even if we're not, we're your problem now because we're still here. So
we're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere, man. We're doing stuff. Like, you can't get rid of us still.
That's right. Man, thank you, Nathan, for being on the show.
Thank you very, very much for this opportunity to chat with you.
Man, be sure to check out Stupid Drama and Dancyr. We'll have the links down below. We'll be right back after this message.
Man, thank you, dude. Thank you.
Kids in a New Groove's mission is to provide Central Texas children living in foster care with a committed one-on-one mentoring relationship through free weekly private music instruction. Kids in a New Groove seeks volunteers, music mentors to provide weekly music lessons and mentorship to youth in foster care. For volunteer opportunities and more, visit kidsinanewgroove.org. Welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Ruby Dice, who just has so much going on and is playing so much around Austin. So, Ruby, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
And please just tell everybody just kind of your story and how you got to Austin.
Well, I moved to Austin, Colorado, and I decided to have a kid job for a minute. I had the big girl job, and I was that got boring real quick. So I was running a dessert shop and a coffee shop for my parents. So yeah, it was fun. Awesome. It was fun. I'm an official chocolatier. I had a plaque. Oh yeah. Awesome. They give you those.
That's awesome. So when did you make it down to Austin?
2012. No, I just moved here specifically for music, and I figured if I messed up too bad, I had a sister in Houston, so it's not too far of a drive.
So what was your experience like when you first got here? Like, what was the first?
Oh, it was wild, man. My first I got here and I was like, I want to work outside. So me and my buddy started a lawn mowing business in Texas in July.
Oh yeah.
And it was really hot. It's a little warmer here than Colorado.
Right.
But I got my first gig that way, and it was playing a private dog party for these really like rich petroleum people that I mowed their lawn earlier in the day, and they're like, "You play music? Come back out!" And a dog peed on my speaker and everything.
So, and have you just been, when you first got here, were you playing with a bunch of other people? Were you doing your solo stuff?
You know, it's been a mix. For a long time, I was just playing bass with other people. Right. I didn't really sing until like a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then I had a bandmate try to push me in that way, and people seemed to like it, so I just kept writing songs and singing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So why bass guitar?
Well, I grew up in church. My dad's a preacher.
Nice.
And they needed a bass player at the church. I thought it was really dumb at first.
Right.
And I started playing a rock and roll band, and I kind of fell in love with it.
Nice. And you really did fall in love with it. Now you're playing all the time in Austin, making a living, right?
Oh, it's a grind. It's definitely a grind. I'll double up on gigs if I need to. Right. You know, I just don't say no to work.
Yeah.
So if there's work coming in and I'm free, I'm doing it because I know there might not be work the next week. That's
the attitude you have to have.
So far, I've lucked out.
Nice.
On like having a lot of opportunity. I think being a female bass player helps me out in the long run because that's something people look for.
Right.
My playings, when I moved to Austin, I didn't know how to walk a bass line. You know, I was a baby player for sure, and I got yelled at the blues jams by the old cranky guys for a couple months, and I went home and I practiced, and they told me I couldn't do it, so I practiced harder.
Nice.
And then
that's how you get better.
No, playing every night and playing every day, you know, you're just gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you play that much.
That's right. And talk to me, like, tell me one of the biggest lessons you've learned, or maybe one of the biggest mistakes you've made.
Yeah, biggest mistake. My biggest mistake for me, honestly, over the years was not realizing what projects were worth my time and which ones weren't.
Right.
Like I've definitely had a lot of like dumb loyalty to certain projects, and it's like you got to realize, like,
that's a great point.
If you got bandmates just getting hammered every night and just not taking it seriously, it's probably not worth your time. You can't be everybody's babysitter or even like, so I know a lot of people that get sucked into that, and it's like you're not gonna go anywhere if it's like that kind of lifestyle is it just gets people in patterns, and they repeat.
It's a trap.
Every day's the same, and it's you got to watch out for that in the music business.
That's right. Man, thank you so much, Ruby, for coming on the show. Be sure to check out Ruby Dice, playing all over the place with all kinds of people. We'll be right back after this message.
Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Do more, better, faster.
That was weird. Did you hear that? Mom?